industries generate commercial and sometimes artistic gems. There is no magic formula. The cultural industries are expensive and risky. As musical artists and the record labels, as well as movie studios and book publishers, are quick to point out, the creative industries are investment-intensive. According to the International Federation of the Phonographic Industry, IFPI, the biggest investors in musicians are the major record labels, which play important roles around the world in discovering, nurturing, and promoting music talent. The expensive part, bringing a new artist's album to market, costs about $1 million, and the recording music industry invests $4.5 billion per year around the world. The risky part, most creative products are not commercially successful. The film industry spends even more money. It costs a major Hollywood studio more than $100 million on average to produce a movie intended for widespread theatrical release. The biggest budget movies cost far more. The Lone Ranger, 2013, cost $275 million. Pirates of the Caribbean, at World's End, 2007, cost $300 million, as did Spectre, 2015, an entry in the James Bond franchise. Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens, 2015, cost $306 million. Avatar, released in 2009, cost $425 million. But there are no guarantees in Hollywood. It's very hard to predict which films will turn into profitable products or franchises. Avatar earned $2.8 billion at the international box office, and The Force Awakens earned $2.1 billion, far more than their production budgets. Meanwhile, The Lone Ranger earned only about $260 million worldwide, less than its production costs, and was a big money loser for its studio. Goldman's Law. Nobody knows anything. Screenwriter William Goldman, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, All the President's Men, The Princess Bride, famously wrote that nobody knows anything about which movies will find favor with audiences. Investors' inability to predict which products will succeed is not limited to movies. It's a generic feature of all of the cultural industries. Most musical albums fail, as do most books and new television shows. If the creative industries are to keep going, they must generate enough revenue to cover the costs of their successes and their failures. To bring creative works to market, the commercial patrons of the arts, the recording labels, movie studios, book publishers, and television networks, engage in two essential activities. First, they screen potential projects and decide to invest in only a tiny fraction of them. Second, they invest large sums in nurturing artists and the works they produce. Consider the music industry. Because the commercial prospects of most albums and artists are not readily apparent, success often requires patience and long-term vision. Most albums do not break even financially, and those that do take time to do so. Relationships between artists and labels transcend the financial. Rather, labels nurture artists, allowing them to develop their sound, their craft, and their careers. Some examples of creative nurture by commercial intermediaries are legendary. An editor at the famous Scribner's publishing house, Maxwell Perkins, discovered F. Scott Fitzgerald and Ernest Hemingway. Perkins is said to have found his greatest editorial challenge in Thomas Wolfe, whose impressive page output was matched by his attachment to all of his sentences. Perkins struggled to get Wolfe to cut almost 100,000 words from Look Homeward, Angel. Bruce Springsteen's patron, Clive Davis of Capitol Records, supported Springsteen through 2 unsuccessful albums and paid the 14 months of studio time that Springsteen needed to deliver his landmark Born to Run album, released in 1975. By May of 2000, the album had sold 6 million copies in the United States. According to Kensington Publishing president Stephen Zacharias, some publishers describe their role as that of a father confessor and cheerleader who can serve as a sounding board, pep the author up when necessary, and pull him down if the author goes too